Hey guys, it's Paige with Canine Companions, and I wanted to shoot a little troubleshooting video for the e-collar. A lot of people have the same sorts of problems, and I just wanted to touch on those a little bit. I'm going to have a photo bomber here, but that's okay. So your e-collar comes with two sets of contact points. They come with a short set and a little bit of a longer set. And so, just to compare, this is the short set that is on this e-collar. And then it comes with a little bit longer set. So, if you have a really short-haired breed, like a boxer or a greyhound or a little pitty, then the short contact points will probably do great. For breeds that have medium length or longer hair, you're going to need longer contact points. Also, for breeds that have really thick hair, like German Shepherds, Great Pyrenees, Australian Shepherds, you're probably going to want the thick-haired contact points. They have a tiny little rounded out point on the end that really fits through that undercoat, that thick coat really well. Also, regarding coat lengths, many puppies, many German Shepherds or Australian Shepherds, when they're young, they have what seems to be a little lighter coat. Their undercoat might not have fully grown in yet, and you might get away with using the contact points that come with the e-collar. But as your dog's coat fully fills out, you may need to switch over to a different contact point. Again, these are called thick-haired contact points. They also make hypoallergenic contact points if your dog has really sensitive skin or is prone to allergies. Specifically, white-haired dogs often have sensitive skin and are often prone to excuse me, to allergies. So sometimes the contact points that come in the unit can aggravate the skin, and you need to purchase a hypoallergenic contact point. Also, I share with every owner that comes through that on a high quality e-collar, like the ones that I use from ecollar Technologies or with Dogtra e-collars, it is not going to burn your dog. The sensation from the collar is not going to burn your dog or fry your dog. It's not like the shock collars from the days of old. It's very, very humane, and it makes a sensation, but it's not damaging skin when it does that. If you see any damaged skin, it's probably from one of two things. Your dog has an allergy, or you've possibly left the contact point on too long, and just the friction from the contact point on the skin is rubbing the skin a little raw and causing some aggravation. One other possibility might be that your dog got wet and had the e-collar on, and just kind of the wet fur against the skin and the contact point possibly could have aggravated it. So all of those reasons are why I tell owners every 4 to 6 hours you want to rotate the e-collar. You don't want to leave it all day in the same spot. Typically I put it on either side of the throat. Leave it here for 4 or 5 hours, then a few hours later switch it. And you shouldn't have any problems with causing any friction or issues with that. So think about the contact points. If you're not getting the response from your dog that you think you're getting, if he seems to be constantly blowing off the communication with the e-collar, or you're having to go up to levels that you think are too high before he really begins to pay attention, then check your contact points. The other problem you might have, other than the contact points not being the correct contact points, is the collar might be too loose on your dog. When you go to put the collar on, you should tighten it, and it should be snug. You won't, I always have my owners feel the tightness of the collar when their dog has it on. If you go to move your collar on your dog, as I instructed, every 4 to 6 hours or so, and you're able to take the collar while it's fastened on your dog and move it to another location, then your collar is too loose. Your collar should be snug on your dog so that when you go to move it, it's going to move skin with it. So it needs to be snug, and it should, once again, rest high up on your dog's neck, unless your dog is wearing another training collar like a slip collar or a prong collar. If your dog has one of those collars on, your e-collar should rest in the middle of the dog's neck. But it should be snug so that if you go to move it, you can kind of feel the skin moving with it, and it's not easy to move. So unfasten it, move it, refasten it, and make it snug again. One thing, one little hack that can help you with this is once you've got a good tight fit on your e-collar and you know it's sitting in the right place, you know that it's snug, that it's not too loose, mark that on your e-collar. I've marked this one in red fingernail polish. I've marked this one in yellow fingernail polish. So I know exactly which hole to go to for that particular dog. Now, one thing to remember with this is if your dog gains weight, if your dog loses weight, that marking is going to be off slightly. You'll have to make adjustment. Also, if you have a puppy and your dog is growing, you'll probably have to make several adjustments. But this is very helpful when you're trying to get it on your dog, and you want to get the right fit quickly. That's a real easy hack. Another problem you might have is the actual setting on your e-collar remote. I've seen this with a couple of my owners that have returned their dogs for boarding, and they've mentioned that their dog seems to be blowing off the e-collar sometimes, or maybe he's not feeling it like he used to. I will check their remote, and on their remote, it should be set just like this one. There should be a number in the middle, and there should be the letter C beside it, which stands for continuous. What happens is that mode gets changed from continuous to M, which is momentary. And when you're in momentary mode, when you tap the e-collar button, it feels like a quick thump. Even if I tap and hold it down, it's only going to do one time, one little tap. So that's why I like to set it in the continuous mode. When it's back in the continuous mode, and this little light will give you reference. If I tap and hold that button, you can see that light stays on. So it's in continuous mode, and it will stay on for like 10 seconds or so, and then it will shut itself off, even though I'm still holding the button. Now there is another mode where it's on both M and C. M means this button is momentary, that black button, and the red button is continuous. But I send all dogs home with it set to C only. Used to, I would send them home in the M and C mode. But more recently, I found owners have an easier time when it's set to continuous mode only. So, those are the most common problems you're going to have with your e-collar. If you've gone through all of those troubleshooting issues and you're still having a problem, you probably want to make sure that your unit is working, that your remote is communicating effectively to your collar. You can do that by just simply putting your hand on it and turning your collar on and seeing if you feel it. Some people are a little nervous about doing that, so they give you a little tool. This little handy dandy clear plastic tool. You want to set it right on top of your contact points. And then I'm going to press my stem button. And hopefully, I'll do that again. So you should see that little orange light light up and flash. So that tells you that this is working and that your remote is communicating to your collar and it is getting a sensation. So those are the most common problems you may have with your e-collar. Try those things out. If you're still having a problem, feel free to call me. You can also contact the company. There's a phone number engraved on the back of your remote. So call the company, and they're great about customer service and helping you problem solve. You know, if it's a really difficult problem, you may have to send your unit back in and they'll send you another one, or, you know, help you work through it to determine what needs to be done. But don't just think, oh, my dog is ignoring me, or oh, the e-collar doesn't work anymore, or he doesn't pay any attention to it. Think about whether or not there could be an issue that you need to troubleshoot through. One other tip that I wanted to share is if you have a long-haired dog that gets groomed regularly, not a German Shepherd, not an Australian Shepherd, but a dog that requires ongoing grooming, like a poodle, or a golden doodle, or something along those lines. You can request from your groomer, so you don't have to worry about the hair quite so much, that they shave a tiny little spot on your dog's neck, or do a slight ring around the dog's neck, and you can leave the rest of the hair long, and it will cover up the e-collar, and it will cover up that there's a thin line around the dog's neck that is bare, because the dog's hair is so long or poofy, you won't even notice it. But just have them shave just a tiny little ring around where the dog will wear the collar, and that will help you tremendously in getting ongoing proper contact with dogs with long hair undercoats that require ongoing grooming. And most groomers will be willing to do that for you. You just have to give them the details of exactly what you want.